But they are the half-season champions of the last half-decade. You got to give them that. You got to give them that under the today.
And as I always say, you get a special prize for that.
You got to give them that. So they're on 39 points. They're 2 points ahead of Manchester City. So both sides won on Saturday. And interestingly, Man City were top of the league briefly before Arsenal went to Everton and won 1-0. Victor Gyökeres with the penalty. Jake O'Brien got caught bad there. Bit of fielding, Gaelic football, double handball. Man City had a handy old 3-0 at home to West Ham. And in third place, and we will get to this side, don't worry about it, are the Villans. So they're on 36 points, 3 points only behind Arsenal on this unprecedented run of form that they have. But in fourth place is Chelsea, deeply flawed Chelsea, 29 points. They were 2-0 down at St James's Park Saturday early afternoon. Came back to draw 2-2, and Liverpool are fifth. This is a bizarre season, isn't it? Well, I put tight race in here for a reason, because it feels like there's a tight race. It also feels like it's incredibly unpredictable outside of Arsenal.
I think, not to rain on the parade here, but I think this is done and dusted, and Man City are going to win the league. And it's,
do you?
I think it's like 12-0 or maybe 12-2 on aggregate in their last 4 games, right? They've just kicked into it, and it's like quietly I can't see this City team putting together a run, and then you're looking through the team and you're like, oh.
I tipped them.
You did, in fairness, at the start of the year.
Yep, Haaland player of the year.
Welcome back.
Yeah, we're live now.
Hey, where are we live?
News Talk YouTube channel.
Okay. Oh wow, this could be the best thing that ever happened to us.
Yeah.
It's mad new audience. We'll get real political up in here. Arsenal top. Hello everyone. News Talk. Arsenal top 39 points. Man City second 37 points. Aston Villa third on 36 points. So you think
4
Man City
people
will
watching
win?
on YouTube this morning?
That's good. That's a nice little.
There's an ad before we can go.
There's an ad, yeah.
If I have to wait for the. I can't even skip it. It's unskippable ads.
Cozy little VIP.
Comisiún Réaltas Údarásach something or other. Yeah. Anytime now. Go on. You keep this show on the road there, Colm.
Well, I just think it is sort of a title race. So Gary Neville thinks that Arsenal are going to eventually separate themselves from the pack in springtime.
Arsenal will.
Yeah. He said this last night afterwards on his own podcast. But I just can't help but feel Man City will do
That's the Sky podcast. Not his own. It's his own.
The Gary Neville podcast
on
is
Sky.
Called on Sky. But I type in Gary Neville. I don't type in
it's just him and the
Sky
Gantry.
Sports.
Yeah.
It's him and Peter Drury teaming him up in a very selfless way. Peter Drury does that. I have to say,
it's nice for a change.
Very say about the boy. So City, right? I think a lot of people are on board with you now, Arthur. That say I think City could do this, right? But it's funny because it's not really a vintage City side, you know. Although they do have the boy.
Do you think so?
And they do have your man. I always just think that you kind of. Do you know when I think of a Premier League winning side? I always think there's a core of like one real like defiant, undroppable centre back. And one amazing central midfielder. And they obviously have a load of very good players. I'm not saying that. A lot of great players, actually. But I just feel there's a lack of ownership of this season of like what is the Man City side of the 25-26 campaign? Like, what is it? It's Haaland's continuing his freak of nature, goal scoring, and then a load of really good players behind him. Now, that's only unfair by comparison to previous Pep Guardiola Manchester City sides.
Well, yeah, but we didn't know all those great sides were great until they went and did the things that made them great. So I suppose my point is I think that they're in the middle, not in the middle, but they're in the foothills of doing that already. And like, Sharky's performances are off the charts.
Sharky is so good. And Marmouche, like, he started with a bang when he signed in January. And he's just another option now. So who is Man City's most important midfielder?
Sharky's 22, Sharky.
Yeah.
Who is he?
I think we take them for granted, though.
He only cost 40 million. It's like 100 million less than Florian Wirtz.
Yeah, no, I do think we take them for granted because I don't think we're as invested in them anyway.
No, but it turns out, I was looking at, the City fans aren't as invested in them. There was empty seats behind the goal when the third one was going in. I'm like, lads, they can't, there's like, they're building a new tier, are they? Is that what's happening?
Yeah.
Why?
I suppose you have to have ambition, don't you?
No, yeah. I know. I think that there's a bloodlessness around it for some reason, and yet the football is.
It's probably that next generation, aren't you? You're waiting for that next generation of fans. That it's like we'll see it. You'll start seeing it like so. Whatever they've been kind of major relevant now for 12, 13 years. So maybe it's a case of like in 10, they're building for 10, 15 years time again.
Yeah.
But I do, like, it's funny because I do think it's one of those things that if, like, everyone kind of, no one's under any illusion about Haaland. But if Haaland played for Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, or whatever, I think it's one of those things where it's like we'd be talking about this guy an awful lot more.
Yeah.
I've never seen him play a little bit like with Kane, but you're like, it's a weaker league with Bayern. But I've never had a situation where you're so confident turning on. Oh, City have scored. Check that, Haaland. Oh yeah, there you go. It's like there's no doubt about it.
That's very true, buddy.
You're surprised it's not him.
If it's not Haaland, who's it usually in your mind?
Well, you definitely had to have Messi and Ronaldo for that little pile.
No, who's next scoring? Foden.
Oh, next scoring for City. I mean, it's a little bit more murky.
Yeah.
But
now maybe that doesn't matter, you know?
Well, it didn't matter for Liverpool last year, really, did it?
Who was Liverpool's second top scorer, yeah?
Christ knows.
Not putting everyone on there. Doesn't really matter, yeah, maybe.
Luis Diaz?
So, it could have been. I will find out. But I'm looking at City side that played West Ham here. Right, so...
I'd like to say some of the hardcore there have found us. Dermot Keenan's in the comments. Bohemian 29. They're finding us. They're coming around.
If you want it, you'll find it.
They'll find it.
So Phil Foden, would you say he's their most important midfielder? Is midfielder? Forward?
See, Phil Foden plays in the same position as Morgan Rogers.
Oh, England have a big conundrum.
Well, too many. I was sorry, we named off that brilliant England team and one of the things we were doing last week, and I had totally forgotten about Bukayo Saka. And I was like, he's in the team.
Who definitely starts, yeah.
He is in the team.
They have a big conundrum.
They love him.
Cole Palmer, Eze, Bellingham, Foden and Rogers.
Cody Gakpo was the second top scorer last season.
Cody Gakpo, okay.
Luis Diaz. So it went Salah 34, Gakpo 18, Luis Diaz 17.
Okay, so outside, so Erling stays fit, maybe Man City win the league. If he doesn't, the goals will be shared by Foden and Cherki and maybe a bit of Marmouche.
And some Reinders.
Savinia. So their most important midfielder, Foden, kind of a forward. Reinders is probably the next, isn't it? And then who's their quintessential centre-half? Probably Ruben Diaz.
Yeah. He's very good. Like,
I could see him lifting trophies. I could see him, but I suppose it's only by comparison to previous City sides, and I'm waiting for that real identity of Premier League champions. But yeah, I do think they're going to win it. It just goes back to the Arsenal thing, isn't it? I just want to.
So you think City are going to win it too? So
I've never thought Arsenal are going to do it. You know, as good as they are.
I've been steadfast in that, to be fair.
As really good as they are. But they're flying at the moment. They are the half-season champions. You all right? Chocolate, you see? Do you know?
I know.
It'll get you. Do you have water?
I don't.
Oh, please. Let's get the buy water. Third time in 4 seasons, Arsenal are top at Christmas. So we've seen it before. Can they do it at the end? So that is a title race.
Do you think they could come back from it if they don't do it? Don't want to be too.
Yeah, I don't buy into the it's this season or never for Arteta. I don't buy into that because they're still class. They're still getting better all the time. Just I don't think they're going to win the league.
What else could they do? Like what do you do in the summer if you don't win the league now?
Well, I suppose you could.
Where do you possibly target?
You could upgrade, I guess, in certain areas.
Better striker.
Yeah.
You just spent whatever money you spent. You're
know,
not getting that back.
No, you're not. That's it. You don't get it back. It's fallacy of sunk cost.
I know it's not. It's not that. Like they have a limit. They have a budget. You can't.
Well, you could put 150 million in. I no guarantee that's going to work either. But I don't know.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
but I do. Yeah, I agree with you. If Haaland was now, he's fairly regular. To be fair to him, doesn't miss an awful lot of games.
He is. We'll get to a regular guy who's no longer there in a second. So, Premier League title race. I'm going to put it in the green because I do think it is competitive. It's a really strange season. So, is it a 2-horse or 3-horse Premier League title race?
It's a 2-horse race, right? For now, because it's a 2-horse race. Villa haven't managed to maintain a title challenge yet. Until you do one, you're not challengers, I think.
No, what? That doesn't make any sense. You're right there. They bet the teams. They bet Irish. They bet Villa. Did they beat City? At least they did, didn't they?
They've beaten everybody, yeah.
So they've beaten the 2 teams above them.
But also they don't have a striker. Their right back keeps passing the ball to the opposition in goal scoring opportunities. He's like the most creative opponent against them.
He wasn't. Well, yeah, it wasn't a pass yesterday, but some great.
I'm going to put it in green. What do you want to do?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Can I just very quickly? I'm looking through the age profile of the City team at the moment. So their goalkeeper's 26. He hasn't peaked yet.
Who?
And then Donnarumma.
Oh, I think he's brilliant.
Guardiola is 23. Ruben Dias is 28. Nick O'Reilly is 20. I'm just going to go a bit more of these. Rico Lewis is 21. And Nico Gonzalez is 23. So Tijani Reinders is ancient. He's 27. Phil Foden is only 25. Cherky's 22. Doku's 23. Savino's 21. Oscar Bob is 22. Erling Haaland's 25. Marmouche is 26.
It's been stealthy enough, isn't it?
And that's obviously not including the out lads like
Stones and that, yeah.
Stones is 31, you know, and they're talking about getting rid of him. Ruben Dias is 28, and obviously I left out Rodri, who's 29. Now Rodri might not be the same player when he comes back, but what if he is? And they're in no rush to rush him back now. That whole Pep leaving at the end of the season, is that a show me how much you love me, look at my team?
He's so in control of everything that it doesn't really. He do whatever he wants, really, can't he? Like he'll go, he'll stay.
Yeah,
like it doesn't. It makes absolutely no difference to him. I say he has no. I say go in there and ask for whatever he wants.
I think their squad is excellent, and if they are to win this year, I'd be very worried about what the future holds. They're just that.
You're mad for dynasties, aren't you?
Well, there are one.
maybe, but
they have been one.
No, they have, but like as you're saying, they've re-upped the whole team now, so we'll see if these guys are good enough. Like it is, to be fair, like it took a pretty exceptional team to stop Liverpool all those times. Do they do that? Do you think they'd like? I don't.
Not this season, obviously.
No, so who knows? Like it is hard. It is really, really difficult.
Is there anyone who has a better job than Pep Guardiola in terms of his working conditions and everything tailored for him perfectly, and all his colleagues doing whatever he wants? And everyone loved him there.
And all the money.
All his success and all the money.
And all the rules.
Is there anyone who's ever been better set up than Pep Guardiola?
No one holds him to account for it.
I'd say Ferguson had a better setup.
Eventually, maybe at the end, yeah. But nowadays, is there anyone?
No.
Even in the world. Maybe there's one man better. Santa. How many reindeer does Santa have, including Rudolph? Let us know. 0879 180 180 is our WhatsApp number. So we're unanimous on green there for title race?
Yeah.
All right, so this is the match that we're going to talk about last night at Villa Park. Yesterday, Villa Park. Aston Villa, Manchester United 2-1 to the Villans. So we will give a colour each, starting with Aston Villa here up for debate. Now, you'd imagine this is 100% a green, but it is the performance rankings,
yeah,
sir.
stick to an amber now, you know. Jesus, they weren't that good. Like, there's loads of room for them to improve, you know.
They weren't unbelievable, but they certainly are on an incredible run, as we've already touched on. Now,
Is Morgan Rogers the best footballer in the world? In this TED Talk, I will explain to you all the reasons why you know nothing, sir. You know nothing about football and why he is the best.
So it's the only the second time that Aston Villa have beaten United at Villa Park in 30 years. So there's the kids in 95, and there was Unai Emery's first game in charge when a lovely little footballer called Philippe Coutinho ran riot on his debut, I believe. And here we are now.
No.
Coutinho played for Gerrard.
Yeah. Gerrard signed him, sure.
Or maybe Coutinho just played well.
Maybe it was full time.
I just played well then. Yeah.
He came on loan and then they blew their entire transfer budget on signing him fully. And like, lads, come on, no.
Anyway, he was class that night, and that was Emery's first game in charge. And look at them all these years later, so they win again. So this is the Morgan Rogers game. We're talking about Erling Haaland being imperative to Man City. There's a question that's kind of pointless here, is like, would Villa have won this game without Rogers? Because they weren't bad either, but they've played better before, Villa. It doesn't matter, but this is a green, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, their season to date has been excellent. They just need a striker.
They have a title-winning side, because you thought Paul Merson was trying to bring Leicester into the conversation yesterday on Sky. People thought, well, people assume that Leicester will drop off all season long. But
Leicester didn't have European football that year.
And also didn't really have a proper challenger, and they weren't actually chasing.
I'd say controversially that Leicester team, in hindsight, were a better team.
Oh, well, you look at N'Golo Kante.
Riyad Mahrez, Jamie Vardy. So who are Villa's three best players by comparison? Rogers.
Well, Morgan Rogers, sans comparison. He hasn't done it as long as N'Golo Kante has yet. Fair enough. But when N'Golo Kante was winning the league with them, everybody was like, "Oh, this guy's pretty good. How good could he be?" You didn't know he was going to turn into N'Golo Kante.
No.
Whereas Morgan Rogers could, at this stage of his career, do anything.
Who is it then? John McGinn? Yuri Tielemans?
Tielemans' form has been excellent.
It's not Watkins.
It's not Watkins, no. And
Martinez.
Amy, yeah. Was Casper one of Leicester's best?
It's really good, yeah.
Yeah.
He made a great save yesterday, Martinez, 1-1 with Chesko.
He did early on when they needed it. And after he got the concussion, which may or may not have been.
I tell you what I didn't like, I don't want to get too precious about it. Onana and McGinn coming over, I don't want to assume what they were saying, but it certainly gave the impression that it was like, no, come on, let's get this on with, let's continue on here.
To Martinez?
Well, to the doctors. Certainly got the impression that it was kind of I think Drury kind of alluded to the fact it's like it's supposed to be kind of completely independent. Now look, I assume everything was fine, all's okay, but it was a little bit like, what would have to happen? Anyway, I thought Villa were fairly grand.
Oh, they were terrible compared to how well they have played. But Man United were good. I mean,
Man United were fine.
They did well. We'll get to United.
They were missing an awful lot of players.
So Villa in the green for sure, yeah? You're happy with them?
well, one little caveat. They just need to have a little bit more of a killer instinct there. When Bruno theatrically points to his arse, arse cheek, and stops, and the ball is right in front of him, John McGinn should have nipped in, surged forward, taken the shot, and see where the cards fall. If they score, they score. If they don't, they'll stop playing. You play the whistle. It's the first lesson everybody learns.
Here's the thing as well. Morgan Rogers, both goals, right? Individual brilliance, both of them, doing his own thing. So would that concern you?
Well,
patterns of play and all that. What is a Villa goal?
Well, they created several other chances, not loads of other chances, but they did create several other chances as well.
I think you've talked yourself into realising that it wasn't a bad performance.
It was fine, right? And that has been many of the performances so far. There's two types. There's one where they're at it, and the crowd is feverish, and they move around the pitch like these kind of dervishes. And then there's the other ones where they're nicking stuff, and you're like, well, that's a sign of a good team. If you could just add a striker, is it too much for Christmas? Just a little unwrap under the tree. Hey, unveiled striker X. I take Marcus Rashford back.
Would you? Yeah. Would you take Asensio?
They don't need him now. They don't need Asensio.
They haven't actually replaced him. They got Evan Gassan, wasn't he? Came on.
Well, Emi Buendia came back and started to play well, so he plays there. And they've also now they're playing Tielemans there. So Onana was in and out of the team last year.
Yeah,
and so now it's Onana and Kamara as the two defensive midfielders. Onana also has like a very high ceiling, and the floor is getting caught in possession and being the cause of the whole thing breaking down. So if he could just raise the floor a tiny bit.
Okay, so I'm going to put it in green anyway.
Oh, 100%.
For Villa.
Yeah, I'm mildly facetious that there's better performance in them. I mean, there are better performances, but they never beat United, ever.
All right. How many reindeer does Santa have? 0879 180 180 on WhatsApp. Deadline 9 a.m. One winner will be picked. €100 Brayburn voucher up for grabs. Moving on to Manchester United. You mentioned Bruno Fernandes there. How many games do you think Bruno Fernandes has missed for United before yesterday since he signed in January 2020? 6 years ago next month.
Because of injury.
Because of, not rested or suspended.
Suspension.
Or suspended, no.
Not a clue, to be honest
3.
with you.
1 through illness and 2 through a knee injury. So in the last 3 years, Bruno Fernandes has played 16,880 minutes for both United and Portugal. To put that into context, that is more than any other outfield player in the entirety of global football. So there you are. Look, that's Bruno going off at half-time. A strange outside, which allowed Lisandro Martinez to come on at half-time and partner Manuel Ugarte in midfield. Now, Ugarte was ceding possession like it was no one's business there at the start of the game yesterday. And Gary Neville mentioned that Aidan Heaven saved United twice in the opening 7 minutes from certain Villa goals. It did feel like this was a decent Man United performance. It did feel like that. You know? And there was an unbelievable opportunity for Matthias Cunha in the second half to equalise. Beautiful crossfield ball by Mason Mount. Great cross by Patrick Dorgu. And it was a handy one for Cunha. 6 yards out, header, glanced it wide. Had he scored that, had the game finished in a draw, I don't think there would have been too many people that exasperated by the result. But yet here we are, another defeat for United. So if you look at the results, if this is the results rankings, this would be red at the moment. But it is a performance. And I don't know if it's in red.
No standards, no?
Yeah. It's very hard to tell. Because they just seem to be they seem to meet what they're up against. They've been competitive. It's been a long, long time. I'd say maybe the City game. I might be misremembering, but I said the City game was the last game I can remember where they weren't at all competitive in it. But that gets better and worse. It's like those things, like the 2 games against Everton and Newcastle, and Everton and West Ham, where they just run out of ideas entirely. It's shocking stuff. And then they raise it up against Wolves, but I really have no idea where they are. But I think they're probably closer than ever. And it's such a cliche, but I feel it's like they're closer than ever. That if you got a top operator in midfield, that it would make a massive amount of difference. Their inability to sense where a game is. And it's amazing how they're doing things that they wouldn't have done before in terms of when they concede the first goal, they have to go right back, score, nearly do it again after the second, come really close. Things like that weren't happening before, but their inability to see out a game or just do the smart thing, or none of that's there. I don't know where that. I don't know if someone comes in and just changes that. Maybe that's too much to ask.
I've often been on about chemistry, how important chemistry is. You can have a great idea, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter what you do. And I do feel like there's an absence of chemistry in the United side. And I think that they're trying to make it work, this arranged marriage. Yeah, and it just never really feels like they're fully in flow. Because Arthur making the point that they're competitive in all but one game this season. And the other side of it is the only real comfortable win they've had in this campaign was the 2-0 home to Sunderland. And if you look at every single match they've played this season, every single one of them, they've allowed the opposition to play a bit. They've only kept 1 clean sheet all season.
But it shouldn't be comfortable. They're not a dynasty. They're not a team who have earned the right for comfortable routine victories just yet.
No, but you were hoping that there's a sign of control. So there's a lack of control on this side, right? And they shouldn't be that bad.
Control comes last. Creating chances and defensive solidity you get to maybe, but not
where you're the superior side throughout the
9
match.
times out of 10 though. That's just I don't think that's going to happen in the Premier League. They controlled the game in a way yesterday, but for 2 moments of genius from a player at the very top of his game, they would have had a result against the most informed team in the Premier League.
Yeah, I didn't see them controlling. I just thought it was a very even game. That Villa just about shaded. I don't think there was any.
What a good game. I enjoyed it as a match.
I thought it was good. I don't know if Keane enjoyed it, so he was speaking afterwards.
Sorry, did anybody see the quiz that he did before?
I saw the start of it.
They did a quiz. He was wearing a Christmas jumper. You correctly identified it as the USA 94 one, but it had the word Nullig on it, so obviously it was an Irish company who had done it.
You want to?
They were all wearing Christmas. I hadn't seen it before.
Yeah.
Generally
popular in the stands. I saw a few people in the stands with those.
The same one, the Ireland one?
No, just different kind of Man United ones.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen the Man United one.
Oh, but you want to know this one?
They're very specific.
Particular one. Yeah. Let us know if you know.
Well, we would love to know. There's, we're at one of our lowest viewing totals for the year.
Oh, that's okay. There's plenty listening.
Now we're also on Twitter, I should tell you. I know it's a cesspit, but we're live there this morning if that's your...
And we have confirmed entries into our Braeburn competition, so people are aware that this is happening. People are certainly aware of Roy Keane's comments after the match yesterday. Have a listen.
So you want to go to the Villa dressing room and go, oh, well done, and they're exhausted, they're tired. I bet they were like, it's not so bad playing against United. When United out of possession, they're probably one of the worst teams in the league. In possession, of course, they're good. There's a threat. They could have scored 2 or 3 goals today. But unfortunately, part of being a footballer, particularly if you want to be a top footballer, is what you do out of possession. Everyone wants to talk about what you do in possession, what you do on the other side of it. And Man United cut corners, and they take too many risks, and that's why they're getting punished. And I'm glad they get punished. I like teams getting punished who take chances, end up letting their teammates down, their supporters down, and their fans down. And after the game, they're very blasé in the interviews. I'd be looking at players, and I'm thinking, they're like robot. They're like, oh, well, we're a bit lucky, Bruno. No, find a way. Roll your sleeves up. They don't do that well enough, United.
Laissez.
So, Roy, very concerned with United out of possession, and he says they get punished for cutting corners, and he likes to see teams get punished that way. He likes it.
Yeah. Not sure what that means. Like he's almost some sort of moral failing. Like I don't
have some standards. You know
what standards? Like who? So like, but it's such reductive.
Defensively, I think he's saying exactly the same thing as you. And they need midfielders. They're going to provide a shield and move the team forward. He's just doing it in the way that's showbiz, baby.
Yeah. I enjoy it. Like, yeah, okay. It's just yeah. I've had about all I can take, Roy Keane, talking about Man United, to be honest with you. There's only so many more times I can hear about passion,
talking about football.
Passion, desire.
I've got news for you.
So on and so forth.
There's going to be plenty more of it.
Good grief.
It's fun. I've come back up again on him as well, because I thought for a while it was like, this guy doesn't analyse anything. He just says, he just has a great line, and then they all move on. I don't know. I think he's coming up with kind of new ways to talk about United. Do we also have the Ruben Amorim video?
No,
not yet.
They're a bit screwed, aren't they, without Bruno? Or are they? Oh, you're only ever one good injury away from the team. No Casemiro yesterday, no difference.
Yeah, he's back on Stevens' day.
Like, I wouldn't say no difference.
Well,
they might
did lose the game. Like, I'm not. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. I don't.
You could see the difference that he would have made.
He is obviously a better player than Manu Lagarte. There's no question about that. There's no with that. It's like you
couldn't tell the difference though.
You definitely could.
Addition by subtraction.
They literally had to put an extra man in there to hold it up.
And that was a good idea for them.
But it's because you didn't have Casemiro. Like,
well, yeah, but I think if they'd done what they did against Bournemouth with that, let's just play really open, Villa would have played better in the first half. But that extra man worked out for them. Like heaven,
they battered Bournemouth in the first half.
Heaven was good.
That game.
They did cough up chances though.
Yeah, they created an awful lot more. But I wouldn't like Casemiro starting for a reason, you know.
Yeah, because they're stuck. Look, I'm not saying Ugarte is genius or anything, but I just think that having that extra man in midfield was good for them, and they should do more of that.
Yeah, it did work for them in that game. So Amorim was saying afterwards that the better team lost. They were the better side, and there was much debate about that synopsis. So what colour do you want to put them in?
Come on. They're in red.
You can put it in amber, I'd say.
Yeah, I'll put an amber, yeah.
It's not bad. Like,
it wasn't bad. You got to reserve these things for demolition.
Sorry, what gets overlooked, they're missing at least like 5 or 6 starters.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you say that, yeah, because Darren Fletcher's young fella came on and made his debut.
And Shea Lacey can
were
play
you
for
in
Ireland.
anyway?
Shea Lacey looked a little tasty, didn't he?
Play for Ireland.
Did you think
Scouser?
In
Irish
any way?
background. Shea Lacey had a shot.
Did have a shot.
Had a shot.
It's just unfortunate.
Just left foot.
Tailed in.
Was any little part of you thinking, that's a political move by Amorim to put on Fletcher?
Oh, I was very interested with the 2 subs.
Political?
I could talk about this.
Well, look at the bench.
It's a very interesting little move.
What did you think?
I thought it was. I don't know what it was pointed at, but it was pointed at something. I don't necessarily think that Fletcher specifically. He has been in the squad, so it's not crazy that he's there. But I do think. I could be wrong, but I don't know the last time I don't know if he's ever done anything like that.
But they had no one else to bring on. They had no one else to bring on.
Yeah.
Did Xerxes come on?
Xerxes was on the pitch. Martinez come on. Their remaining subs were the sub-keeper, Malacia, the other sub-keeper.
Malacia. He likes Malacia, doesn't he? That's in the wrong squad.
Making him travel.
They had no one. They had 2 sub-keepers, Malacia and Tyler Fredrickson. And Benito Mantato.
Look, I'm just saying, the heart wants what the heart wants, and the heart wants kids coming through.
He either decided to leave it as it is and leave everyone on the pitch, or try something new.
Yeah.
I wouldn't read into that much.
All right.
I think he had to, but I'd be interested to see if they play again.
Yeah,
Fletcher and Lacey. Yeah. I didn't really. Fletcher didn't stand out that much, but Lacey just had that little run, so it was good. Anyway, we'll put them in there.
Has there ever been a father and son that played for Man United?
Oh, great question. Don't know, man.
No, Jonathan Wilson.
Ever in the history of the...
I was trying to think. I couldn't really think.
Oh, Jonathan Wilson. He had written a book about the history of the club, so we'll ask him for sure. Good teeing up there, yeah. Something to look forward to, says you. Spurs, Liverpool. It's one of the worst first halves I've ever seen. So the Xavi Simons red card was a talking point. I think Florian Wirtz had a shot, and Randall Colm Boohig had a header that he was cushioned back to Alisson. We'll start with Liverpool, I suppose, on the Liverpool side of things. So, are things looking up for Liverpool? Or were the flaws seen again? Because Spurs went down to 9 men, of course. Christian Romero. What's Romero at? Did have David Beckham, France 98, kick out at Ibrahima Konate after Konate had done a little bit of a Simeone to him. So they go down to 9, and then they're still kind of creating chances, are like flirting with the idea of scoring. So had they equalised, this has gone back to Leeds Ellen Road. This is 3-3. A game really that we didn't analyse too much because it was overshadowed by the post-match comments by their boy in Africa at the moment. Nevertheless, they did win the game, and now it's 3 wins in a row. Inter, Brighton and Spurs.
They're back, baby.
Poor old Alexander Isak. Oh my God, the poor lad. Do you know what? Do you know that's an injury now? That's when you're in pain, you know. We're so used to seeing players in inverted commas writhing around the ground with agony. When you're in pain, you don't move that much. You want the ground to swallow up. You don't want anyone to look at you. It was just the way he was, like the concern in his face when he's holding his leg. Seems like a leg break is the early reports, but it might be if this makes sense, a straightforward enough break that he can recover from handily enough. But he looked in genuine agony. Well, couldn't help but feel sorry for the multimillionaire, but like
way better than an ACL.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like there's far fewer complications. But you know what's interesting about Liverpool goals? The goal scorer and the assist. 4 new signings in the summer. So Wirtz to
starting
Isak.
to click.
And
Spurs are terrible. Can we not just not going to look beyond that as well?
But
at the
then
same time?
Frimpong to Ekitike with the header. So are we putting Liverpool in green?
See, I think you're all way too Christmas spirity here. Man United should have been red. I'd be putting Liverpool in amber. Green shoots as opposed to actual green.
Yeah, I think I need to step away. It's certainly maybe something to look for in the new year. Win can't be green, red can't always be blue.
It's not, though. Look
It is
back.
more often than not.
Look
I'd
back
say if
on
we
the
look through
tapes.
the details.
Oh no, there's plenty going amber.
You just gave
Go through the
Man
data.
United amber.
Plenty going amber.
I do think Man United was amber. I think they're in a good
Yeah,
moment.
but we put them there. United was
moment.
amber.
They're in
That's
a good
true.
moment.
Concede 4 to
They also scored 4
at home,
Don't forget that.
and then lose to Villa where they never lose.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Like
Liverpool,
historically, never lose.
Liverpool,
we're going to put in
It's amber.
Did you
amber. All right.
did you see Pep his Christmas plans for his team?
Yeah, well,
You
I
heard
saw
this?
he's weighing them when they're coming back.
Well, they're all off on Stephen's Day with the exception of United and Newcastle.
Pep Guardiola has weighed his players and warned them not to overindulge at Christmas. The subheading
he would.
is fatty. I haven't seen a subheading fatty since the 90s. Hey, fatty. What's going on, fatty? Every player makes a weight. They come back on the 25th and I'll be there controlling how many kilos come up to see if they come fatty.
Is he? Do you think is that a knowing kind of
The
thing?
moment they arrive, after 3 days, I want to see how they come back. They can eat, but I want to control them.
Sounds like Salazar.
I have to make a selection for December 27 against Nottingham Forest. Imagine one player, now he's perfect, but he will arrive with 3 kilos more.
Over 2 days.
He will stay in Manchester. He will not travel to Nottingham Forest. I'd be like, you're giving me the day off. If I eat too much, you're going to give me more time off. Yeah. Yes. And maybe you don't get your win bonuses if you don't play. Is that?
4-day weekend.
Poor Man City players, yeah. Can't do much there, I'd say. DK is on saying instead of watching that game, right? Instead of watching Villa United yesterday, he watched 4 Christmases, which was recommended by Keith Friday as a great Christmas movie. Vince Vaughn is it?
Never heard of it.
DK is saying don't watch it. I hovered over the idea of watching this the weekend. I said I'd save it. So the Rotten Tomatoes at 25%, but KF was very hot in it the other day. Still might give it a go. I do trust DK's analysis in these things. Okay, so that's amber if you want to put Liverpool there. How about Spurs? Any argument for Spurs in the amber too, you know? I mean, they nearly got back there with 9 men, you know? It was nearly a smash and grab point. There's a bit of applause actually this time at full time by the support because there was an element of spirit in the Tottenham display that was absent in previous games.
Yeah.
Bit of fight, you know what I mean?
They're now, of course, behind Brentford in the league.
Well, there's no shame in that. Brentford won again. So with Spurs, what's going to happen, right? Does Thomas Frank see out the season?
Not if it keeps going like this. Like it's not even. It's just they're doing nothing. It's just, but it's bloody results at home as well. Like it's crazy. It just does set such a negative tone, and it's funny with even the. Not to bring everything back, but it's just the fact that Man United also had a concurrent run of pretty bad results at home, and it definitely kind of tempers things where you're like. If you can't rely on that, it's like it's even having to go to Villa yesterday to try and get a win to kind of keep. Even if they'd won yesterday, it wouldn't have been any sort of kind of, oh, what are we seeing here? You're almost just keeping things on a plateau.
Yes, it is.
It's the same thing there, I suspect, where it's just kind of like, if you're not even, if you've like, but even this is just stupid sending off, like, and you're just like, that's it now. That's the game. It's a matter of time here. We'll work this down.
The first or the second one?
First one. Yeah. It's just like, you knew, it's like, once you see that, you're like, that's grand.
Do you think it's an extended Nuno Espirito Santo at Spurs, is what's happening here? There's just no feel to it.
Yeah, I'm just not sure he might be good enough. Like,
Nuno wasn't actually that disastrous on paper. It just never really got going. Like, you know, it's how you make you feel, Ger. You know, and how's Thomas Frank making the Spurs fans feel at the moment? What's the primary emotion?
Well, confusion, that chaos. I think they probably do feel a bit alive, in that they're like, am I ready to hate?
They seem to enjoy that display at the end. I suppose when you go down to 9 men, you're going to get praised for a lot of things that you do, in basic terms. You know, suddenly when you go down to 10, it's like there's not an awful lot of sympathy. Go down to 9, suddenly for some reason you're like, anything you do at all here, good. We're going to cheer. There was kind of a feeling of that by Spurs at the end, but I've seen them being a lot angrier in games this season, the fans. But it's a low old bar here that we're setting for Tottenham.
I mean, remember what it's funny in hindsight. They were down to 9 men again, wasn't it? Against Chelsea. Wasn't it Ange against?
That was the 4-4.
No, Chelsea won in the end.
4-1. Yeah,
won in the end. Yeah, but they kept on playing the same way.
Yeah,
and there was a kind of a cohort of people who are like, oh wow, this is class.
I thought it was class.
Yeah,
it's me. He's talking about me.
In terms of thing, it's like, oh no, it's actually, this is a bit of a death knell.
No.
This guy's a lunatic.
Well, he was, but it wasn't better than this. The Spurs fans
not
now
really. I mean, they're probably
it's
better.
the same results, right? But you're just going about it differently.
It's kind of going the same way.
What do you prefer? Spurs fans, what do you prefer? Where's Bobby at?
How do you want to die? Quickly or slowly?
Does Bobby know we're on News Talk? Give us a colour there for Spurs.
It's red, man.
Red?
Oh, yeah, it's scarlet.
Oh, I really wanted amber there, just to prove the point about amber.
They're in a bad moment.
Okay, their moment is bad. United's is good. Spurs red. Liverpool, good moment. All right, to wrap up the performance rankings for 2025, let's go to the World of GAA. So the All-Ireland Senior Hurling Club semi-finals were on yesterday. Loughrea beat Slaughtneil 222 to 15 points at Parnell Park. It's Loughrea's first final since 2007. And Ballygunner beat St. Martin's 19 points to 10. So their first showdown in 4 years, Ballygunner. Interesting about this match is that Martins were up by 3 points early in the second half. Ballygunner went on to score 14 of the next 15 points. So I'm guessing there's no debate here about these two being in green together.
Yeah, it's the Ballygunner thing. Like, Jason Ryan must be in the running now to be the next Waterford manager whenever that job becomes available. What a CV he's put together.
So that's green. And then the very, very final entry for performance rankings 2025 is
always finishing a down note anyway.
Connacht.
Send them home.
So they go to the Dragons, like the Dragons. They have been slaying nobody lately, but they did do the business against Connacht.
Dragons don't really typically slay.
They get slayed.
The opposite of what I just said to you. So they were 48-7 ahead against Connacht. At one point, finished 48-28 in the end. So Connacht had a little bit of fight, Spurs side at the end. But a pretty dreadful results. There's actually a feel-good factor about Connacht under at Lancaster. But if you look at the results, it's quite mixed. This is the standout provincial result of the weekend, I think. So for those who missed it, a lot of people might have missed Friday's Leinster-Ulster game. Might have been out partying. That was actually quite close, that match. Pretty competitive. And Munster won again handily. But it's Connacht we're focusing on because of that result.
Harsh. Yeah.
48-28. That's a red, is it? That's a paddling.
Yeah. Yeah, they won't be happy.
And they are your 2025 performance rankings.
Boom.
Off the Balls performance rankings.
Cash machine?
Off the Balls cash machine.
Well. The fun continues. To make the season even brighter, the Christmas cash machine is packed with a sparkling 100,000 prize pot. But there's going to be a guaranteed winner tomorrow, Tuesday. Taking part is easy. I'll give you the number. It's €100,000. Take note of it. Text OTB to 57557. The cost is €100,000. What did I say?
No, you're spot on.
No,
it was 300 a few days ago.
300 a few days. What happened?
Text OTB to 57. This is for tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's like a straight turnaround. You enter today, you win tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
I
you're
know.
financial.
Well, it's been
yeah,
open since Friday.
Put 100 grand there. Go on. You know, well, there's like a shepherd's hook coming through the door there for Colm. He's not available. He's no longer available to co-host the show. Text OTB to 57557. The cost is $2.50 plus your standard message rate play. You got to be over 18. Playing across the Go Loud Network stations. Full terms are on the website offtheball.com. Entry needs to be in by 3 on Friday. 3 on Tuesday. 3 on Tuesday.
Tomorrow.
See you next Tuesday. The cash machine will then randomly pick a number. It could be you. We call answer within 5 rings. Tell us the prize number, and the cash is yours. €100,000.
You just called them all.
There's no one watching today. Jonathan Wilson's next.
Off the balls, cash machine.
Football on Off the Ball.
And it turned out we weren't far wrong. Some stuff happened in between.
You're suggesting the Norwegian FA need to be very careful about what hotel they pick.
Well, I would certainly make sure that somebody from Man City is involved in all of the planning.
Join in the obsession. Subscribe now at offtheball.com/join. You're listening to Off the Ball Breakfast.
Ireland's sports breakfast show.
How many reindeer does Santa have, including Rudolph? Let us know. 0879 180 180 on WhatsApp. The deadline for this competition is 9 a.m. The winner, there'll be one winner we picked, and they will win a €100 voucher for Braeburn. Jonathan Wilson, season's greetings.
Season's greetings to you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Your schedule, is it lighter this Christmas because there's only one game on the 26th? Does this make a difference to your life?
It's a very Eurocentric way of looking at the world. I think you'll find there's 4 Cup of Nations games on December 26th.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, yes. I'm very Premier League centric there completely. So this will be of no difference to you whatsoever, your workload?
Because I can't drive, I tend not to work on the 26th anyway, because the UK trains just cease to function over Christmas. So I will be spending the time with the family, persuading them that watching Benin at 3 p.m. on Boxing Day is actually what they want to do. And then, I think I'm at is it the 28th, Palace v Spurs, and that's my last game before I go off to Morocco for the Cup of Nations on the 1st.
We were having a mildly interesting conversation about Roy Keane as a pundit about 20 minutes ago. It is Christmas, so mostly I just wanted to talk about the fact that he had an incredible Christmas jumper on yesterday. But anyway, Arthur was making the point that he's kind of had enough of him talking about Man United at this stage, right? And I understand that, but I would say that he's done the same thing largely over the last 4 or 5 years as he's become this content juggernaut. What do you think of him?
As a pundit, I think he's really good. My problem is I tend not to see a huge amount of punditry. So my views on this are always less pronounced than people who watch a lot of football on TV. Often I'm at a game or I'm trying to watch 2 or 3 games at once. So I tend not to see a huge amount of the punditry. But the clips of him I see, I like. I think he's in a nice position of he knows what his role is. He's self-aware. He sort of plays with that a bit. I think you always get with him. There's a twinkle in the eye. He knows what he's doing, and I quite admire that. I quite like that, and I think actually that school of pundits, Neville, Carragher, Keane, I think they're all really high level. I find them all very engaging. They all clearly have an understanding of the game, profound understanding of the game, and are very good at communicating that in a way that is digestible. But also they have a real passion for it. It's not a sort of dry analytical thing. They've been there, they've done it, and they really feel it.
I think that's a very fair point, actually, that I don't want to go so far as to say it's a golden age, but certainly in this part of the world, we had a great group of pundits for about 20 years that led to a lot of chin stroking on the Sunday newspapers, like, oh, we're so much better than our near neighbours. And now our pundits are essentially shite, and the pundits on Sky are way better. And it's like, pride before a fall there, it turned out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who your pundits are even, so I can't really comment on that. But yeah, I mean, I remember the period where we would keep seeing clips of Eamon Dunphy or whoever and think, that does look good. I have to say, a part of me, because you never quite know what it's like when that is the only thing you're consuming. And you also don't know, from our point of view, you see the clips, and the clips are often brilliant. But you're like, is it like that all the time? Because if it is like that all the time, that's just exhausting. I can't deal with that.
No, it was definitely... It would be like shining from shook foil. It was, there were definitely highs and lows.
No, but you wouldn't want truffle for every meal, right? You want kind of... you need your potatoes, and then you need your highly flavoured things, and it's the blend of them that works. So, I sort of think that I was about to name him, which would have been a bad idea. But you get that with certain commentators, that they come out with great lines. And everybody's, he's brilliant. And then the attempt to kind of produce those lines every time, it's just, God, just calm down. Just let it be natural.
It's been practiced. I've practiced if this player scores, computer find CF, here's the line I've practiced, and it's like, yeah, okay, steady on. The thing about the meat and potatoes and the truffles is that we obviously had access to everything you guys had access to, as well as the Dunphy and Giles, which was the extra bit of sauce. So we could have the bland stuff. We could watch Match of the Day. We could watch Sky at the time, which was, I actually quite liked Andy Gray as a co-com. He had the big moments in him. Shame about the other stuff.
Well, and also, it's as Carragher said, you've got to leave football before the football leaves you. And I feel with certain pundits that they maybe should leave the punditry before the punditry leaves them. That it's very easy to lapse into self-parody or just. Yeah. I mean, I think the truth is that once you haven't been playing for a certain period of time, and I guess that's different from player to player, depending how engaged they are with the modern game. Football is just different now to 20 years ago. So you can't just rely on, this is how I did it, or this is how I was told to do it by manager X. You've got to sort of keep talking to people in the game. You've got to work out how the game's evolved. And I think that's where people like Neville and Carragher are so good, that they clearly are engaged in those conversations.
I was thinking that too about people who are, maybe the game has passed them by because their peak was 20, 25 years ago. Then you look at Paul Merson, he's been retained by Sky, so he's the last remaining of that Soccer Saturday crew. And then he was there yesterday at Villa Park for Sky alongside Roy Keane and Ashley Young. And I do find Paul Merson incredibly engaging as well. I know he gets a lot of criticism online for his takes, but there is something about Merson, the fact that, his peak was 25, 30 years ago as a player. But there is something about him that he's able to, I feel anyway, stay up to date with exactly what's happening, even though he hasn't been directly involved in football for such a long time.
I think the thing you get with Merson, I don't think he's as good an analytic pundit as some of those others, but he's just got such enthusiasm for it. And there's no front with Merson. Merson, what he says is what he thinks. And he loves football. He watches football. He kept playing way past his peak. I mean, he played for 2 or 3 semi-professional or even lower than that sides, because he just loves the game. Yeah, there was a few that he played for. Tamworth was one of them. I mean, he obviously had his stint as player manager at Walsall, which didn't go particularly well. But he kept playing after that. Just loves the game, and there's something to be said for that. And again, it's about the blend, right? You wouldn't want 3 people who would just go, "This is amazing, I love this," but one of them plus an analytic plus a specialist. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Are you enjoying this Premier League season?
Yeah, I am. And there's an obvious reason for that, but I think even beyond that, I like the fact it's not that good.
Yeah.
Is it not that good?
It's flawed, isn't it?
Yeah, but football is great, no?
Exactly, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That I think football is a sport that's able to deal with lots of different things. I think it's got a tremendous capacity as a sport to right itself. It doesn't need people to change the laws. But I remember, I used to love snooker. And I started to fall out of love with snooker in the mid-90s when players basically got too good. And if he got in, they would clean up. And it just saw, who's going to make a mistake? He's made a mistake, frame's over. Whereas in the 80s, a really good player in really good form, that would be true of them. That Davis at his peak, that would be true. But most of them, or maybe it'll be a 40, maybe it'll be a 50. Oh, he's kept going, he's got the ton. And that is more engaging, that tension. I find darts now, the actual sport of darts, they're too good at it. It's lost some of the drama because they're too close to perfection. And I sort of feel that a bit about T20 cricket. There's too many sixes. It was better when a six was rarer. And I think this football season, a lot of the top teams are flawed. Well, all the top teams are flawed, and that makes it more interesting. Now, clearly, there is a limit. I don't want to watch rubbish football, but football of a level of Guardiola City, it was, you admired it, of course, and when you first saw it, it was, this is amazing. I never stopped admiring it, but when City are racking up 95, 98, 100 points every season, it's sort of, it just feels a bit, the drama is what's gone out of it, and the drama actually is what makes it great. So the fact that City, I mean, they're on this great run of wins, they are playing well, but they can let in 4 against Fulham and let in 2 in the second half against Leeds. They're not perfect. They are, even against West Ham, there was spells early in the second half where West Ham caused some problems. That's a much more engaging thing to watch. Arsenal, although they've gone for this sort of very data-driven, deny the opposition opportunities approach, the fact that they're fighting with their own demons all the time makes them, even if the game itself is quite drab, the drabness is what makes it fun, because that is part of their attempt to make this thing that's essentially uncontrollable controllable. So I've really enjoyed this season. I really hope City aren't about to click into a run where they just win 15 in a row, which I think could happen.
Yeah.
Not because I hate City or anything, just because I want this sort of drama, this uncertainty to carry on, the storylines of ups and downs all the time. I want that for the rest of the season.
What's Aston Villa's level?
Really hard to tell. I was there yesterday. They were deeply unconvincing, as I think they've been for quite a while. Actually, most of this 10-game winning run, which is obviously an absurd thing to say, but there's only been 2 games this season where their XG has been more than 0.5 higher than the opposition. They haven't been winning games by miles. Yesterday, United had more shots on target. I think in many ways you could say United were the quote-unquote better side, if that means anything. Mm-hmm. And yet, once Villa had gone 2-1 up, I never really thought Villa weren't going to win that game. Is it the last 7? 7 away. I think it's 7. The last 7 wins they've had have all been by a single goal. They're not blowing sides away by any means, but they're doing enough. And at the minute, they've got in Morgan Rogers, a player in sensational form. And every time the ball drops to him on his right foot, he scores. And that is also great to watch, because it's not sustainable. But then maybe, if you're presenting a pro-Villa case, you'd say, well, at some point, Tyrone Mings comes back, Pau Torres comes back, Ollie Watkins starts scoring, Jadon Sancho starts playing like the player he was at Dortmund, Harvey Elliott plays like the player we thought he could be at Liverpool. They've got room for growth, and so it's almost, it's not quite as bad as this, but it's almost like Liverpool those first 5 games of the season. Do you look at it and say, well, they're getting away with this and there's a regression coming, or do you say, well, they're getting results without playing particularly brilliantly, and it is possible they could start playing better. And when that happens, maybe performances catch up with results rather than results dropping down to performances.
That would be a terrifying prospect, wouldn't it? For the rest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And it's
you assume Morgan Rogers can't keep playing like this. I mean, this is... And, the bizarre thing about that, yesterday was 2 months to the day since the 1-1 draw at Sunderland, when there was a time in the second half, I think it was still 0-0 at the time. That game, I don't know if you remember, Sunderland had a man sent off after 35 minutes or something. And Villa were atrocious. Took the lead through a Matty Cash drive, and then Sunderland equalised through Wilson Isidore about 15 minutes to go. And Villa were awful that day. Their fans were booing. But there was a moment, it was about 10 minutes in the second half, where there was a little ball slipped through the left channel for Morgan Rogers to chase. And he just, he didn't read it, didn't fancy chasing it. Thought Trey Hume was going to clatter him, whatever. He just didn't go for it. And it looked terrible. The ball just trickles out for a goal kick. All the home fans are jeering, sort of starting to think, hang on, even though we're down to 10 men, we might get something out of this. And Emery was on the touchline absolutely berating Morgan Rogers, who just looked totally bereft. And 2 months later, he's the best player in the Premier League, smacking the ball in the top corner for 30 yards every time he gets it. The turn, and he's also, in that period... so it was 12 days before the game against Sunderland that he was selected for England away in Serbia when Jude Bellingham wasn't in the squad, when Phil Foden wasn't in the squad. And it felt, here's Thomas Tuchel making a point. I'm going to pick this out-of-player bloke to play instead of you. I mean, this player's out of form, he's out of sorts. 2 months later, it's quite hard to see how Morgan Rogers doesn't start for England in the World Cup. The transformation in those 2 months is extraordinary.
That's just confidence, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but where does that come from?
Something happened where I think that so the Matty Cash goal was actually essentially thrown in by the Sunderland keeper. It's straight at him and kind of, it was a complete fluke. And they played Fulham, I think, next, and they won that game. And suddenly the form comes back from the hangover from last season was real. The noise around the club was very negative. And the noise around Rodgers, his form improved. He signed a new deal. It's a total intangible thing that I think makes us fall in love with football, is that players can find confidence and find who they are very quickly.
Yeah, well, I think that game in Belgrade was huge because he played really well in that game. Didn't score, but I think it was him set up first for Kane. His movement in that space behind Kane was really good. There was a sort of link up almost immediately between him and Kane. And that's something that, because Kane's a slightly unusual centre forward in how often he drops off, he often, particularly for England, we've seen this, he and the number 10 end up playing in the same space and they get in each other's way. Rodgers seemed very good at not doing that. So 12 days after that, he played really badly at Sunderland. But I think that was the spark. That was the beginning. And then, it's confidence. But if he's thinking now, I'm going to start the World Cup ahead of Jude Bellingham, I mean, you can't have a manager who believes in you more than that. I guess there's a danger it goes too far. But at the minute, he seemed, I mean, his interview yesterday I thought was very sort of calm, very laid back. You mentioned Dean Smith's mantra about the highs can't be too high and the lows can't be too low. At the end of the game, he was sort of getting shoved forward. I couldn't actually see who it was. He was down the other end of the pitch. He was getting shoved forward to the... Was it Onana?
Yeah.
To sort of to take the applause of the North Stand at Villa Park, and he seemed quite sheepish about it. And that I think is quite a positive sign in terms of his continued development. So I mean, how long did the spells like this last? You can't keep on scoring 2 goals a game from whacking it in the top corner. That's just not what happens. But maybe he can sustain it for another 6 months, and if that does happen. Yeah, Villa really are serious title challengers.
Would you keep Lisandro Martinez in midfield?
I mean, if the option's playing Ugarte, yes. But I'd play almost anybody in midfield apart from Ugarte.
I don't know how bad. Sorry.
Oh, he was atrocious yesterday. Yeah, it was just ponderous on the ball. You can tell his teammates don't have confidence in him. So there was an early chance Ugarte got caught in possession.
Yes.
There was then actually it developed into United chance, but it was like I think it was the next time he got the ball, he played the ball out to the right, and there was nothing. Basically wasn't enough pace on the pass, and it drew in the Villa player, and I think it was Dalot just sort of got his toe there, just in front of the Villa player, and actually United got a chance from that, but. It was a hair's breadth thing, and if a Villa player got in, Villa suddenly had a run on goal, sort of 4-3, 4-2 break. So he probably improved a little bit as the game went on, but that first 15-20 minutes he looked way off it. So obviously he's not that bad. Clearly he is a professional footballer. Clearly he's not an absolutely dreadful player, but he's not playing well at the moment at all. But it shows how imbalanced that squad is, that they end up, Manchester United end up with their 2 holding midfielders being Ugarte and a centre back. Yeah, how has that happened? It's symptomatic of the broader problems there.
Well, to be fair, they were without 3 players that would have played. 2 from 3. I mean, Casemiro suspended, Kobby Mainoo gets injured late on, and then Bruno Fernandes it's almost unprecedented. I think he's only missed 3 games prior to yesterday outside of being rested and fatigued. So I guess they don't have much of an emergency plan because Fernandes is always there.
Yeah, but I mean, all teams have injuries. Casemiro is in his 30s. You've got to expect that he will get injured or get suspended. That's the nature of a player like that in his 30s. I don't think Bruno Fernandes' best position is to play at the back of midfield. I think he'd be better in one of the number 10 spots. Kobby Mainoo, when did Kobby Mainoo last start a game? He's since the Euros final, I think he started something like 16 or 17 league games. Yeah, so the idea that Kobby Mainoo's injury is somehow devastating for United, but he hasn't picked him. So it's okay. They've lost players to the Cup of Nations, but this is not a newly promoted side who are having to scrabble around and pick kids and find players behind the sofa. Yeah. It's the biggest club in England. 3 absentees should not put them in that kind of position.
I remember chatting with yourself, Jonathan, through the Eric Ten Hag era. You repeatedly said that Kobby Mainoo's been played too much. There's way too much responsibility on him. This just isn't fair on Mainoo. And now it's gone the other side. So this is kind of the Aston Villa question about like what's the actual level here when it comes to Mainoo. Now it was just very unfortunate he picks up the calf injury before the game yesterday. It's a good chance he would have started finally. But where is he? Like, because is he as good as he was under Ten Hag and playing at the Euros for England? Or is he actually truly a squad player, even at a club like United, who have huge problems?
I don't think we know. I don't think anybody knows. I get that he doesn't fit Amorim's system. Yeah. And to an extent, I've got sympathy with a manager who has this hugely promising young talent, very hyped young talent. And this is another problem United have, that partly because of a desperation for success, they're scrabbling around looking for a messiah everywhere. Mm-hmm. They're in the wilderness. What do we need? We need a messiah to lead us out the wilderness. They're a club that has this great tradition stretching back to the 1930s of producing, developing, and giving opportunities to young talent. So, but when Bobby Charlton chose to go there in the early 50s, it was because he knew they were a club who gave young players a chance. Even by the early 50s, that was their reputation. And fans, understandably, are very attached to that. And they've had the 2 really great generations. They've developed themselves, the Busby Babes and then the class of 92. That is part of the DNA of the club. And fans, understandably, every time it looks like they might get another one, they're desperate for that. And that means that people like Adnan Januzaj, Makeda, maybe even Ahmed Jallow end up getting over-promoted. There's an over-reliance on them. And it's not really fair on them. I mean, that's one of the things, if you look back to the 50s, how frustrated Bobby Charlton was. He didn't get more of a chance. He'd be like, I'm top scorer in the reserves. What do you want? And Busby was, but you're 17. I'll pick you when you're ready. And it feels at the minute that just that there's such desperation around that club that fans really want Kobby Mainoo to be a star who'll be there for 15 years and lead them to glory, which is not good for him. But he just doesn't fit the system. So given Amorim is so committed to the system, if a club really are committed to Amorim, then the fairest thing for everybody is to sell him, reinvest that money. Then at least Mainoo gets the football he should get, and United can move on without him. But there is also clearly among fans a huge sentimental attachment to a local lad who has shown signs of being exceptional. If you think of him in the first half hour of that Euro semi-final against the Netherlands, he was brilliant that first half hour. So there is a lot of potential there. How disciplined he is, how consistent he's able to be, we just have no idea about that because we've never seen him given the sort of proper run on his side that a player of that age should have, which is to say, play a couple of games, have a couple of games off, come off a bench here, you feel your way through.
Is it tactically starting to make a little bit more sense at United?
I mean, there are some signs, as there really should be. I mean, Amorim's been there for just over a year now. I think there are some signs that they're starting to understand their roles. He's players have been brought in at significant cost to fit that system. I think there's glimmers. I'm not entirely convinced. It looks better than it did, say February this year. But I mean, they really ought to. I sort of think our expectations for United are so low now that, they play quite well in getting beat 2-1 at Aston Villa, is seen as being, this is a huge step forward for Manchester United. And I saw so many United fan accounts or journalists who cover them regularly saying, well, they lost, but this isn't something to be miserable at Christmas over. You still just lost 2-1 at Aston Villa. You've yet again failed to go into the top 5. You drew 4-4 down against Bournemouth on Monday. There's no sense of consistency. There's no sense this is a team that is capable of mixing defence and attack. There's no sign of an overall pattern and balance. There's little glimmers of things starting to work. Cunha is clearly a dangerous player. It's very limited glimmerings in these embers. I mean, they're below Sunderland. That's how bad it is.
Sunderland are great.
Are they? I mean, Sunderland are the third lowest scorers in the Premier League, or fourth lowest, maybe.
The fact that they were able to get a result at the weekend, despite the fact that 1 million of their players are not available to them, that must have given some kind of confidence that the culture at the club is the thing that has delivered it, as opposed to just the quality of the players. And that sounds a bit stupid, but what I mean is that the coaching is good enough to be able to mend and make do in difficult circumstances, and that's a very promising sign.
Yes, it is. I think it also suggests the squad is actually pretty good. I mean, if you look at the players who came in, they weren't kids who we haven't seen before. Chris Rigg was a really important player last season. I mean, he's another hugely promising young talent who maybe was overplayed last season. I think he's pretty frustrated. He hasn't had more of a look in this season. It was certainly, we talked about that Villa game. He was the player taken off after Renildo was sent off. He was pretty frustrated by that. So it's good for him to get minutes. Geertruida, who's coming on loan from Feyenoord, he's shown signs of being pretty good. He's actually been used as a third centre-back a lot of the time. He's played all over the place, but he is a midfielder. He actually played at right back in Schlott's Feyenoord side. But he played at the back of midfield and looked very defensively solid. So I think, yes, it talks about the culture of the club, but it's also... They just got a good squad, or a decent squad. Those 14 players he signed over the summer augmented what was already a reasonable side. And there are now options there. I think, they are short of goals. They are very reliant on Lefebvre creativity. And I guess the one question over this next sort of month or so of the Cup of Nations, can they play the back 5, which has been such a significant part of them playing better sides? Because their 2 left backs are both at the Cup of Nations, Reinildo with Mozambique and Arthur Mazuaku with DR Congo. Now, Dennis Serkin, who's been out for a long time, he fractured his wrist and then he got a knee problem as he was coming back. He was on the bench on Saturday. So it may be that he can come in, but at the minute they're having to play Trey Hume on the left with Mukiele playing at right back. So they're Mukiele playing in the centre, Trey Hume on the right, and then a left back if they're going to play that back 5. So we'll see how that develops if Serkin is fit enough and if he's good enough for the Premier League.
Sunderland conceded the joint third fewest goals in the Premier League this season compared to Newcastle. Jonathan, I think they've dropped 13 points from winning positions. The latest of which was going after 2-0 up against Chelsea at the weekend. So it looks really good. Sunderland are 6th, just above them Liverpool in 5th. It's way too simple to say, like, are they better off without Salah and all that? But there is a way that this makes sense when he's in the Africa Cup of Nations, isn't it? What they can do.
Yeah, I mean, since they left Salah out, they're unbeaten, which is better than what was happening before. I think if you look at that squad, the way the players who've been brought in were brought in for post-Salah world, and the transition to that world has obviously been quite difficult. But it means they have a little bit of a run. I mean, Egypt play their first game 5 p.m. tonight, UK and Ireland time, against Zimbabwe. I'd be surprised if Egypt don't get to quarter-final, semi-final. Quarter-final probably is their minimum target. So, that means Liverpool have a run of 2 or 3 weeks where they don't have to pick... Well, they can't pick Salah, and that's not an issue. Nobody's going to be talking about it. And that probably is a good opportunity for them to actually work out what they're trying to do without, distractions... a negatively loaded word for a player who's been so great, but without that issue sort of lurking around.
Any more? That's it?
Yeah.
All right. Have a great Christmas. Enjoy the AFCON. And you're heading... When are you heading out?
January the 1st.
Okay,
so I'll be there for knockouts. So, yeah.
All right.
I'll be taking my microphone, though, so I'll always be available.
Good stuff.
Oh, sorry, the Christmas Day chat with your Spurs in-laws. Are you going to advise them to get rid of Thomas Frank or keep him?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, everything's going so badly wrong. I sort of feel that a sacrifice is probably necessary. I feel bad because I like Frank a lot. I think he's a good manager, but the ill discipline of Saturday was such that there's clearly problems there. The dressing room's got away from him. His attempts to defend, I think on the second Liverpool goal, I think he has a point. I think that probably is a push. The 2 red cards, the first red card is obvious. The second red card, that should be a straight red. He's kicked him in the chest. I mean, he's lucky it's a second yellow and then he gets a 1-game ban. I think if you kick somebody in the chest, that's violent conduct, and he's very fortunate not to get 3 games for that. So, I think for whatever reason it hasn't quite worked, and there was a cohort of Spurs fans who were felt that Spurs should be bigger than getting a manager from Brentford, which obviously is a ludicrous thing. It's where you're going to find them from. But that feeling that Frank isn't quite big enough for the club has not gone away, and if anything, it's only increased.
Happy Christmas, Jonathan. Cheers.
Cheers. Happy Christmas.
All the best.
There's loads of transfer stuff coming through that I think is of some interest. The Ruben Neves story, have you seen this? Mm-mm. He's had his time. He's filled his boots in Saudi Arabia.
Has enough.
Ready to come back. An off-the-shelf Portuguese central midfielder.
Back to save Wolves?
No.
Did you see Matt Doherty's comments?
Manchester United?
See that?
No.
We don't want to go down like cowards.
He's right.
Yeah.
They need to.
So, Manchester said, yeah.
410 grand a week, apparently.
He wants or he's on?
That's what he's on. Now, he's only got 6 months left with his contract. He's not signing a new deal, so he'll be available for free in the summer, which would be great business for anybody to get him in the summer, because you could give him 10 million. That would be your transfer fee. You pay him 200 grand a week, and he's like, yeah, it's essentially the same money. But he would be an off-the-shelf solution for Manchester United.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who else could use him as well.
Well, everybody. He's that good. Is he that good? Everybody seems to think he is.
Yeah, I don't know if we get his game for Man City or Arsenal. Because, I don't...
Well, Zubimendi and Rice...
Or Chelsea.
And he would... So, with Chelsea, you can push one of those two forwards.
There's always rotation, but at United he's playing.
Well, he's playing week in, week out.
Yeah, he's playing.
He's playing every single minute.
Once a week.
There's no games.
Sorry, one more question there before I go. If United were playing European football as well this season, do you think that they'd be way down the bottom half?
I don't know. I think their squad is quite big, as you've seen, right? So,
is it helping or hurting them that they only have 1 game a week?
You'd say that not having the opportunity to give Mainoo game time has depressed his value, and also you don't know whether or not he's good enough to be in the team. But it looked like Aidan Heaven's a good player. Lenny Yoro could do with a bit more. So when the best player in the opposition is streaming past you, you should stop him. I'd be good coach, wouldn't I?
You'd be really good with that tap on as well. Let me tell you something. Off the Ball and Bank of Ireland, they're bringing you Six Nations preview event.
This is your officially last chance to get tickets for this before Christmas. If you want them as a Christmas present, get your shit together now.
So go to offtheball.com/events there to follow Ger's instructions. It's on the 29th of January, so you can beat those January blues. Because in and around then is, like, on paper the most depressing day of the year, isn't it? End of January. So what better way to cure that, right? The doors, not Jim and the lads, you'll be able to get in at 7 p.m. and the show will start at 7:30. It's at the RDS. You'll have Brian O'Driscoll, Andrew Trimble and a host of other very special guests on the night, right before the Six Nations begins. Hashtag never stop competing, all with thanks to Bank of Ireland, a proud sponsor of the Irish rugby team. Quinny's on standby back after this.
My grandfather was Miall O'Hare, the commentator. I was born in 78, so any of this kind of Dublin-Kerry rivalry that I have since learnt about and discovered has always just been, it's all sort of done through anything I read, anything sort of clips that I watch back and sort of hearing his voice and hearing his commentary and stuff like that.
Would Miall have been chatting about that stuff, because it's the stuff of legend, maybe you were too young to...
He had his stroke in 86, I think, maybe. Okay. So I was only about 8 years of age. I would have been quite young in terms of having actual discussions with him about that type of thing. It was nearly more from my dad and my uncles and things like that. I do remember, like, at the time, I didn't know who he was. I think I said it here before. He was just my grandfather, like, you know. But I do remember his funeral, and we were brought, it was Corpus Christi Church there on Griffith Avenue. I hadn't been to many funerals. I couldn't get over the size of the funeral.
You were thinking that this is just what happens
it's
for
unbelievable.
people.
And we were brought up to what you call the room just off the side of the altar.
Sacristy.
Yeah. We were, the family were all brought in there, and Mary Robinson was the president, and she came in.
No way.
And she sat down and she was just sort of talking to all the family, and I remember different things like that. There was a book launch before he passed away, and she was at that as well. And I was kind of a teenager at that time, but just getting more of a sense of who he was and what have you. And my own kids now just take a massive interest.
Wow.
It's Paul O'Hare on the Sunday Paper Review, which is available for free on our YouTube channel. A little Christmas gift from us to you this week. If you want to catch up on that, you can also get it on podcast as well. Now, Quinny, good morning to you. How are you?
Good, thanks, lads, and yourselves.
Yeah, good. It's just myself. Colm's headed off. You were chatting to Clayton McMillan for the Red 78 last week. How did that go?
Yeah, it was good. It was he was obviously doing a lot of other press stuff, so we were kind of the last slot after the press conference. Yeah, look, I've been impressed with his honesty around performances, and he didn't kind of sugarcoat some big disappointments in as regards some of their performances, but also it wasn't all negative. It was talking about the high points that they had, and when their execution and intensity and accuracy was good, trying to replicate that. But I suppose they've made a lot of changes, rotated the squad a fair bit in the first 7 league games and 2 European games. So no, it was good. It was enjoyable to get a chance to ask him a few questions.
What kind of a fella is he?
I don't know. I haven't met him before. I think he seems fairly strict and to the point, and doesn't sugarcoat things, which I kind of as I said, I like that. But he was very honest in his appraisal. He's had some frustrations, as he said in the interview, and he believes that the team are improving and that there's small things happening, and it's just about getting consistency. And I think he came with with Geordie Barrett on there during November, and Anton Leonard-Brown, and they were both speaking about how respected he is in New Zealand rugby, and that he's a good coup for not just for Munster rugby but for Irish rugby. And but it's very early days, I think. So he seems like a pretty straight up fella, and again, it's early in the season. I think there's definitely been some frustrations around their performances and certain things they're doing, but time will tell, really. This is the really busy period for all the teams.
It's funny, as non-professional sports people, we can sometimes fall into the trap of thinking about things in terms of development and cycles and the future. As professionals, you kind of have to think this season, right? Because contracts are up for many of the players, or your place in the team is going to come and go over the next couple of weeks. So it's a much more short-term thing. Whereas we on the outside can think, he's building a squad here. He's checking everybody. He's making sure that everybody feels like they've had an opportunity. For the players, this year is essentially all that counts in many ways. They have to try and win while they have the opportunity of being a professional sports person. So there's a bit of, I won't say tension, but there's a difference in terms of outlook and how forward-looking the players will be versus how maybe the outside world is looking in.
Yeah, of course. You could, fans of any sporting team always have an opinion, and sometimes they don't always agree with selections, and coaches come out and say, well, look, it's the bigger picture, and or if they're not making changes, that they're trying to, have short-term solutions rather than long-term solutions. I think He's still getting to know his players. The same with Stuart Lancaster and Connacht. You don't just watch players and see, God, they're good rugby players. You need to get to know the characters as well. And I think that's really important in trying to develop squad depth and leadership and all that kind of stuff. And it does make a difference. It may seem innocuous, but it's certain things like the character. And I think for Clayton McMillan, I sense he's a bit of an old school, kind of likes a bit of doggedness in a player. And he name-checked Conor Bartley from the AIL there, who came on against Gloucester and did really well in the scrum. And I think he's a little bit that way inclined, but he likes people who front up, I suppose. And one question I asked him was about the selections, because they've nearly changed their team every week. They have changed their team every week, and it's hard to get consistency with that. And he admitted that that's a problem. But he said he needs to see players and he needs to give opportunities and reward people. And he wielded the axe after Bath, didn't he? It was 9 changes, and he was very frustrated with that performance in the European Cup over in Bath. And so look, it's early days, Ger, and I think he's not selecting teams to kind of just try and get results. He's trying to look at the bigger picture here and develop the squad and probably bring the best out of people. And we don't see it obviously behind the scenes, what coaches see and what they want in individuals. And I know from my own experience, I think it's not just the on-field stuff, it's the off-field attitude and determination that and certain small things, that the way people present themselves, the way they train, the way they help when they're not on the team, all that kind of stuff makes a difference. So, he'd be pleased after the weekend. I think he did say, yes, there was some frustrations in the performances. And if you even listen to him after the Gloucester game in Cork or the Bath game, he said after the Bath game, borderline embarrassing. You don't normally get coaches, particularly rugby coaches in Ireland, saying that. It was just a collective. He's not someone who sugarcoats stuff. So I'm sure that'll be good for him long term. Ultimately, they have to try and find some consistency and they've had problems around set piece and certainly poor decisions when they get into the opposition 22, and obviously that horrendous start over in Bath. And I asked him about the Leinster game. You think the intensity and the defensive work and the accuracy that all teams and coaches would like, they got it right against Leinster, and how do you replicate that? And his answer was, it's very difficult, and I know that myself, to get that emotional high pitch. They go there, Munster, massive underdogs, have not won for a long time, and in the league, and very strong Leinster team, and they got a brilliant, intense performance for long periods of that game and got the result. So I think he believes the talent is there, and he's hoping to get more out of the team and get more consistency.
Yeah. On that consistency issue, when do you think you begin to understand what he thinks his first team is? Is it only after the Six Nations, when all the games really ratchet up in terms of importance? Or is it something like the game against Leinster at Christmas? Because, again, we're never told whose minutes are being managed by the IRFU with the Six Nations in mind. So, like there's a possibility Jack Crowley doesn't play that game. There's a possibility Craig Casey doesn't play that game. Or do you think that they will all play, that all the frontliners will play, and then that'll be our first indication? Must-win game in some aspects, not really, but like he's going to pick his fully loaded team.
Yeah, I think it's there's no clear-cut 15, first 15 at the moment for Munster, I think. And the reason I say that is because there's a number of outside backs and backfield players that there's very little between. I think they have a lot of depth in the wings and full back, all those back three players. So there's been a fair bit of rotation and change there. I think he probably knows, Dan Kelly coming in has kind of thrown the cat among the pigeons in the centre partnership, really, because you think at the start of the season you'd be thinking Nankivell and Tom Farrell. Obviously 9 and 10 are two internationals, so they're your top players there. Similar, probably, there's been a fair few changes in around the back five of the forward pack, second rows, back rows. Obviously, if Tyburn is fit, I think John Klein and himself probably are the second rows, but you've seen Byrne play in the back. So I don't know. It's a stranger one. I think we can certainly identify a Leinster strongest 15, can't we? Easier in a sense with the internationals.
Yeah.
But he's definitely finding out about some of the characters maybe, and as I said, he wielded the axe after that Bath game, and I think there's a few players who played that night who will have to kind of win him over again. Because I know you have to rotate a fair bit at the start of the season, and you're trying to give people the opportunity. But they've lots of players who are very similar stature, on a similar level. So I'm not sure he knows his strongest team yet. Maybe he does. And regarding the internationals, I think he has come out and said that they're all available for the Leinster game. Whether they Munster choose or the other coaches choose to, well, they only have three, haven't they? In Casey, Crowley, and Tyburn, who will be part of that group as regards having to rest and recover. I think obviously the Munster fans would love to see those three playing against Leinster and the strongest team possible being out, but.
Do you have a sense of who you would pick if you were in that situation? What's the starting front row? What's the best three?
Again, there's a couple of players there that, I think the three hookers, Lee Byrne, Dermot Byrne, Scannell, they all bring something different, don't they? I think Lee Byrne came on at the weekend and he made 17 tackles, scores a try. He's a very dynamic player. Michael Milne, Jeremy Lockman, Josh Wycherley, I think, there's very little between. I think Milne is probably the one that is probably our most robust scrummager. Jeremy Lockman is, when he plays well, he's a very, very good player. Tight heads, they're down to the bare bones there, aren't they? With Ali Jaeger having been out for a period of time, they could do with him back because he's a big physical player. Michael Alatoa has come in there and hasn't hit the ground running. I think his work rate was very good against the Ospreys. Again, he made 20 tackles and a lot of carries as well, but the scrum has still been creaking a little bit. So I don't know. I think I'd probably go, Milne, Byrne, Alatoa. I think for the line-out, I've because they had line-out issues at different times when they struggled in the last few weeks, I think having Thomas Ahern in there gives you a great option in the line-out. He didn't start the other night against the Ospreys. He came on, but their line-out was 100%. Their scrum was 100%. And it just goes to show the difference it can make in the platform it can give you. So, again, you can rotate around the back row. Jack O'Donoghue has played very well this year. Gavin Coombs, John Hodnett, Ken Dellin, get Brian Gleeson back there. So I think there's a fair bit of rotation you can have and still have a strong side.
Yeah, okay. In terms of the game at the weekend, how much did they learn, or is that one of those games where, at the end of the season, you don't think too much about, you get the job done, you be ultra professional, you improve your line out and scrum percentages, and that's their building blocks as opposed to anything more flashy or important than that?
Well, I think the first thing you probably would do as a group is realise that the Ospreys were poor and they put a lot of pressure on Munster at the start, but they were lacking that killer punch. They had more possession and territory in the game, and Munster were very, very physical. And I think that was one of the kind of key things you need when you go away from home like that, because I think usually when you lose those kind of games or struggle in them, you get kind of outdone in the physical stakes by the opposition. And it was a strong Munster team, and they were very physical, and they laid on a really good platform, and they were ambitious in their attack as well against a strong breeze in that first half. So maybe they were kind of forced to keep hold of the ball a fair bit They had 8 line breaks in the game, and they just had a bit of a ruthless kind of edge to them. We were, so I think they'll, of course, it's psychologically, it's a big win. It's hard to get wins away in the URC at times, and I thought that was going to be a big challenge for them. They were very, very comfortable at half time when Jack Crowley scores a try just before half the time. It ended a really good 20-25 minutes. I think the first 10 minutes were poor for Munster. Their discipline was poor. So, of course, they can, it didn't all go according to plan. They still had plenty of errors and turnovers in the second half. But very, very strong defensively. And I think you can, of course, that's really pleasing when you're making lots of tackles, but you're making dominant tackles as well, and you're stopping the opposition. And so, of course, they can take loads out of it, but certainly you temper it down a little bit with the fact that the opposition were poor. Don't get too carried away with it. It's a good pat on the back and job well done, and not get too carried away with it. But to get 5 points in a row like that is really significant.
We only have a couple of minutes left here. What was your instinct after the Leinster-Ulster game about where Leinster are at the moment and the knock-on impact in terms of Ireland? Peter O'Reilly was writing at the weekend about how David Humphreys 12 months ago was making the point that the gap needs to close between Leinster and the other provinces. He probably didn't intend for Leinster to come back to them. He was hoping that the other thing would happen, and it hasn't yet.
Well, I think Ulster definitely improved a lot. So time will tell. Leinster are not clicking. There's no doubt about that. Their attack isn't as slick and as good. They're not as dominant force. I think when they empty the bench the other night, it wins the game for them in the second half. So, yeah, I think you can certainly give Ulster a lot of credit. They played really well. They caused Leinster a fair few problems, but I think this isn't the worst thing in the world for Leinster to kind of get a reality check and realise that maybe takes off a little bit of pressure. People are talking them down a little bit now as opposed to talking them up. So I still think they're going to be in the mix and certainly potential winners of both competitions when the business end of the season comes round, but they're gone back a little bit. So I think they need to improve. And I think, look, Munster have got better. We're talking about their strongest team. If they get their strongest team out, we'll see that next week. Leinster will be fully loaded, I think, coming to Limerick. I think it'll be a significant psychological one for them to get a result there, which they have done in recent times. But Ulster have improved a fair bit, so you've got to give them credit as well. So does it impact Ireland? Well, we'll know in a couple of weeks, I think. But I think it is a little bit concerning, yes, that the top international players here, but I think they need more of a consistent run together, and they probably need one kind of ruthless, scintillating performance to kind of change that narrative. But I don't think it's the biggest, very worrying. It's concerning. There's a difference between concerning and worrying. I think it's a little bit of a difference, but of course, I think the other provinces becoming stronger is something that would be very, very beneficial going forward.
Yeah, we've talked a good bit about this in the past, where a team comes out and makes a lot of mistakes, and it's general. It's everybody's is off it a little bit. That's one of the most fixable things in rugby in many ways. It's like collectively the attention span has dropped for some reason. They're distracted by something is happening, and they're not mentally tuned in. The next time the team arrives, they are mentally tuned in, and all the mistakes seem to go.
Yeah, look, they've had no. We're talking about consistency and consistency in selection. Times have changed dramatically, Ger. We don't see any team selecting the same side for 4 or 5 games in a row. That was the norm before, and you do build a bit of intensity. You probably see it post-Christmas a little bit, and obviously when you get into April and stuff, and to knockout games. But it's just the length of the season, and the reality is there's probably 3 or 4 players from that starting Leinster team on Friday night who are starting on their strongest side. So there's 10, 11 players who are not starters. So it's a weakened Leinster team, and they still find a way to win. I think they definitely need the bench to come on and make that difference, which they do, and they get it across the line. So as I said, it's for Leinster, if they get their strongest team out for a couple of games, they're still capable of beating anyone. And we probably need to see a little bit of form from the internationals right across the board as well, going forward.
All right. Quinny, happy Christmas to you. Thanks a million for everything.
Okay. Same to you, Ger. God bless. Cheers.
Take care. Now, 16 minutes past 9. It is time for the cash machine.
Off the balls, cash machine.
The fun continues, it says here. To make the season even brighter, the Christmas cash machine is packed with a €100,000 prize pot, which will be given away tomorrow. Today is Monday, tomorrow is Tuesday, and somebody will win €100,000 guaranteed tax-free. So to enter, text OTB to 57557. The cost is $2.50 plus your standard message rate. You are playing across the Go Loud network of stations. You've got to be over 18. Full terms are on the website at offtheball.com. Your entry needs to be in by 3 on Tuesday. Cash machine randomly picks a number, and if we call you, answer within 5 rings, tell us the prize amount, and the cash is yours. It's €100,000 exactly. Text OTB to 57557.
Off the balls, cash machine. Off the ball, rugby.
And that's the quote, really, that I wouldn't be happy about if I was a player in that group. Take it out of context, and then you have a story and you have a situation. I think if he had his time back, he probably wouldn't.
Join in the obsession. Subscribe now at offtheball.com/join. You're listening to Off the Ball Breakfast,
Ireland's sports breakfast show.
For the football fan in your life, we've got a book recommendation for Christmas. It's called Rise of the Villans, Inside Unai Emery's Aston Villa Revolution. The author is Guillem Balague, and I'm delighted to say, in a masterpiece of timing, Guillem, good morning to you.
Good morning. Is that masterpiece of timing of the book or us talking?
Both. Just after one of those almost signature Unai Emery performances, in that Villa didn't play well but beat a bogey team who they never beat at Villa Park yesterday. So in the aftermath of a win like that, it's great to be talking to Unai Emery.
Well, this season is interesting because would you say there is one memorable game by Aston Villa? Perhaps results, yes, certainly against Arsenal, against City, against Manchester United. But this is not the extraordinary, I don't know how to put it, a spectacular Aston Villa, because they found a place which is perhaps not very sexy, of stability, of everybody know what they have to do, of the replacements, the substitutes, or the ones that come on new compared to the previous week. They're doing that job, and they're doing it as Unai Emery had in his head. So all that gives them the possibility, make them very close to winning. It's almost impossible to beat them at the moment. And even if anybody goes and beat them, it wouldn't be by a big difference, because the margins are very, very slim. And he's done that, if you look at the team, without players that you would say they are world-class, apart from Emmy, perhaps, certainly Morgan Rogers. But everybody else, they're very, very good professionals, but they're not like, I don't see PSG going to come in and get them, as I said, apart from Morgan Rogers.
Can you take us back to when you made the decision to write the book, and then how you felt 4 games into the season when Villa couldn't score, their form was terrible, the mood around the club was awful, you're like, oh my God, all this work?
Now, that was interesting, because the decision gets taken about 2.5 years ago. And it gets taken for me, because having done 10 books, and the last one being Maradona, it was like, what do we do now? I've got 3 more, a contract for 3 more books with Orion. And somebody suggested Unai Emery. I thought, Unai? Oh, okay. And Aston Villa wasn't this Aston Villa, but there was something going on there. So I thought, I started asking around. I started asking Unai, and the answer was, I've got no time. You're going to have to do it on your own. But obviously, eventually, he found a lot of time for it. And as I was progressing with it, I realized that the story wasn't just Unai Emery and what a story he's got. The story was Aston Villa. It was also a good opportunity to take a picture of what's going on in that club right now. So it's not so much a story of last season, although there are stories from last season. It's more about what they're doing. They are disruptors, all of them. They're going against the tide. People buy lots of players, not them, because they cannot do it, but they are improving the players constantly. So there was a progression that allowed the book be called The Rise of the Villans, until the rise kind of got stuck at the beginning of the season. And I went to Bodymore Heath. The book had been published around that time, around the fourth or fifth game that they hadn't won. And the inputs I was getting from fans, from commentators, it's like, oh, something has to change. So I decided to, when I was having in the canteen lunch with Unai Emery and celebrating the fact that the book had come out, taking some pictures with it, etc. I said, don't you need to change something? And he looked at me with the eyes of somebody who was about to kill me. It was like, those words don't get said. Anyway, I left it at that. There was a press conference, and at the end of the press conference, he went to me big, in a big bollocking. It's like, you don't come in and tell me to change. Didn't you learn anything from doing the book? We just continue doing what we're doing, and we do more of it. But to be honest, at that point, perhaps he was one of the few people that had faith in that. Even fans doubted it. In continuing the progression, in doing the same thing, more of the same. And then he turned it around, and we all had to apologise to him, didn't we?
Can you take us back to the start? Because there's some really interesting details about how the group of players that he inherited from Steven Gerrard, he changed the style of training and the results improved almost immediately. It was like a switch got flicked, but there are some very specific things like what they did in training and even body position, all the type of things that you think are being looked after in an environment. But Unai has the attention to detail that few enough managers seem to have.
The one I found that was key and easy to understand for everyone, even the ones that are no coaches, is that the piggy in the middle, you know, in a circle and one or two players in the middle trying to get the ball back, and the Steven Gerrard, and I would say on the most coaches, is 1 to 2 touches and then you move it around. But he allowed them to have more than 2 touches. What was that about? It's about control of the ball. I don't want to release it early. And you say a switch came on, and of course, yes, they beat Manchester United 3-1 in his first game, having trained only once because he didn't have the Brexit documentation ready. But it didn't switch on immediately. In fact, he was quite upset in the way they won against Manchester United. It took a while for the players to realize what he was asking of them until he got to a point where he went like, it's going to be my way or no way. And my way is control. And we're going to have to educate you, but we're going to have to educate the fans. And jump to last night, I was at the Holt End for the first time. And minute, I don't know, just before Morgan Rogers' goal, the first one, there was in one occasion in when I think it was Ian Metson, instead of just passing it forward, he just went back. And you still hear some fans going, no, just put it forward, put it into the... But most people turn around to them and says, no, patience. What we need is calm. So he's managed to educate the players, certainly. There's been a filter, the ones that don't get it or couldn't get it, they're not there anymore. But he's educated the fans. And I think that's the hardest thing. I've seen so many managers trying to do that with the fans and didn't work here. Of course, now part of the success of the book is that it helps the fans understand even more what Unai Emery is trying to do, because they do want to understand it.
You can see that control in Onana, in Tielemans, in McGinn, where they'll fizz the ball into them and they'll be surrounded by 2 or 3 players. But there's no doubt that the close control has been worked upon enough that they're going to keep possession. And I'm a Villa fan, so I'm one of those who has that.
I can tell.
You've got this kind of constant, why are they look, oh. And then all of a sudden, like, suddenly Morgan Rogers is charging towards goal and he's 3 or 4 Villa players alongside him and there's 2 or 3 defenders. Like, okay, so the whole point is that it's high risk, high reward. How quickly were the players able to execute that? When did he begin to feel like, this is working for me?
I think there was a couple of defeats against Leicester and Arsenal, big defeats, and that was when he went like, all right, it has to be my way, and then the rest is a process, and there's a selection of players that have come in and have gone out because it just didn't fit in or because of the finances. But as I said, the ones that have stayed, and I think there are 9 or so still regularly in the lineup that were there when he first arrived. Well, those had to get it, and they get it via tactical chats that last an hour and a half. This is with a 50-minute video 3 times a week. So when Rashford came to or was discussing with Manchester United and Aston Villa to come to Aston Villa, they had a chat, Unai and Rashford, and Unai said, before you come in, make sure that you talk to your England friends, internationals friends, and then ask what we do, because if that's going to be boring to you or you're not going to be up for it, then it won't work, because that's what they do. Do they hate the long chats? The ones that are there, hate is not the word, but obviously they would like perhaps a little bit less of it. But it's like a very good teacher. You know that you're going to go to that lesson and you're going to come out with something. And it's not just the video that actually he creates himself by watching the games 4 or 5 times every game, and then spending 8 to 10 hours just editing the video. Not just through that, then there of course is when you walk to Body Mohid, it's like NASA. There is assistance for everything, but the key ones as well are the individual coaches, those that take the player aside after the training session and then just give them a little bit more on their body language, on reaction to things, on how the rival defenders are going to work, so what you should do to get better. Ollie Watkins has benefited immensely from it. Everybody has, Morgan Rogers as well. And then the third thing is the relationship of Unai to the players. John McGinn, if he can, he'll have a go at him all the time, and John can take it. And with Morgan Rogers, he's carrot and stick. And when he goes too much with the sticks, somebody will say, Unai, you need to put your arm around his shoulders, and he would. And Morgan reacts to that. And others like Ollie Watkins, you have to let them be, because he's very, if things go wrong, he just shields himself and protects himself and gets away from the well kind of thing. So you have to be careful. So that man management plus the work that is put in, that explains how the players get to the level they got now.
Are you seeing similar success at Villa that manifested itself earlier in his career? And I suppose that the best example is he always better at fixing the players he's inherited, or is it a mixture of astute signings? I guess, is the next bit from Villa's progress going to be where he buys players that maybe the rest of the market hasn't seen, or now at Villa, are they looking to buy finished articles only?
There is a clear strategy that is got to do with the finances of Aston Villa, which has to do with renewing the contracts of those players that are still got room for improvement. Number one. Number two, with Roberto Olave, the new president of football operations, he would look at the medium term. So they want to go and get young players, the Morgan Rogers of this world, if you like, and then develop them a little bit. But of course, Unai will always ask you for developed players that can make an impact straight away. So in that balance, plus the conversations with the owners, is where the players arrive. And there are strange signings. Kazan, 25 million, you think, but he's not a forward and he's not a winger. So what did we get here? And perhaps you're going to get more and more of those players that cost more than their value at that point is. But you would think that there will be or the hope is that they will develop into players that will cost 3 times that, and that is the only way that Aston Villa can continue disrupting, and they will do as well, talking to authorities, talking to football authorities and Birmingham authorities to push on and have better facilities, or to change the rules a little bit so it benefits them a little bit more, because there is a lot that the top 6 still block. So that work has been put around the team to eventually make them win more games. It's not just get a player and that's it. It has to work at all levels. And the problem when you have not as much financing available as others is that you better get it right, or you better get it right more often than wrong. That is a risk. But at the moment, things are looking up.
And in terms of what happened with Monchi, was that one of those situations where there had just been a few missteps and the trust broke down between them? Because it felt like they were a match made in heaven for a long time.
They've never been, actually, because they separated not nicely when they were at Sevilla, even though one thing that Unai has is he forgets, or he prefers to forget about the bad stuff. So he wanted him when he was at PSG, and then, of course, as soon as he got to Aston Villa, he felt he will definitely help. But tried to work 2 years with Unai Emery. It's hard. So, but that's basically what happened. After 2 years, he was like, oh, right, okay. And within the limits also in which Monchi had to work, it was decided from both sides that was that. Meanwhile, I think Monchi was hearing that obviously Sevilla is for sale. It's going to be bought by an American consortium, and I think he probably will be a key part of that. And in the process, in between, he's gone to San Fernando, the team of his village, of where he comes from, and he's looking after it. He's trying to make them professionals and bring sponsors, etc. So he's having a little bit of a hobby, a little bit of a break in football before he goes back into another big job, I think.
The point about PSR and the European rules having a natural block on what Aston Villa might dream of being in the future, it's always there, that conversation about the finances. So knowing everything you know about that, what do you think the ceiling for Villa with Emery actually is at the moment?
I could tell you that in theory, they've gone over that already. To be third, 7 points from fourth at this stage of the season, following the pace of Arsenal that have spent 250 million or whatever it is, Manchester City that has got Pep Guardiola in charge. They're punching above the weight. Maintaining this consistency will be very hard. And I'm not sure how you can read into the future when Unai Emery is related, because I can tell you at the beginning of the season, what all I was hearing is that it was going to be a tough season, having missed on the Champions League, with 1 or 2 players coming in, having the same players. Everybody felt it was going to be a tough season, apart from him, who, yes, had the first couple of months, it was tough working with him, because he kept pushing everyone and he wasn't in the greatest of moods, as you can imagine. And that's when I got my telling off, and others did as well. And that at that period is difficult to deal with him, because it's frustrating that he sees everything was flat at that time. The players were flat. Around him, people were flat. The fans were flat. So that was contagious. Everybody was in a flat mood. And he was the only one barking around. And eventually things now is in a very, very, very happy place. But if the analysis or the question was asked then, it would have been like difficult season. Now you have to say, all right, let's see the consistency, but top 4 is achievable. Winning the league is unrealistic, I think.
Yeah.
But Europa League is also something that they put in a lot of focus on. So it's got the makings of a great season.
There's a window here where there's enough going on at other clubs, enough uncertainty, and because of the impact of PSR, that you could become a Champions League club who qualifies for the Champions League every year for 3 or 4 years, and that separates you from Newcastle and Spurs and whoever that other team is vying for the 4th or 5th spot every year. Is that the dream scenario, really, where he builds a Champions League qualifying team and quality squad that can maintain the ability to qualify for the Champions League while reaching the quarterfinals, and then who knows what happens afterwards.
Just sounds like you telling me your dream.
Well, exactly.
But it certainly is the idea that qualifying for Europe constantly for the 17th year, in the case of Unai Emery, is what gives him food, energy, prestige. He prefers that than being in Europe than perhaps a cup. And that's difficult to understand by the fans who, we did a book signing with Unai in the Bull Ring in Birmingham, and it's the first time that he actually is mixed with fans. And of course, the thing that most said was thank you for being at our club and what you're doing for us. But there were a few that were saying, a cup, we need a trophy. And he kind of understands it, and I keep telling him, if you win a trophy, they'll do a statue for you. If you're in the Champions League every year, you'll be here for a long time. So it's take your pick. And it's a bit like that. He feels that obviously a title, they will try, and they were close last season, etc. But the thing that keeps everybody going, finances, players, prestige, enthusiasm, having got to go and get more players, is being in Europe, and being in the Champions League will be better than obviously the Europa League, but winning the Europa League will be certainly another step forward. So yeah, that's the petrol that will keep the whole machine going, yes.
Why do you think he agreed to cooperate with you?
It's probably the manager spoke the most for a long time, without no intention of anything. He gave me the first interview when he left Arsenal. He gave me the first interview in English when he was at Valencia, and that was a struggle. And he laughs at it now. And then when he got to the point of doing a book, I think because he reads books, but not so much sports books. And he knows of my career, and he knows my weight here, and that people know me, etc. And I had done a bunch of this. But perhaps he didn't realize the weight of a book like this and what it would mean for him and to explain him until the last few months. So it was like, yeah, let's do a book. Well, first it was, no, I don't have time. Or yeah, let's do it, but I won't be able to help you much. And then, of course, he finds the time. And when it gets published, wow, when he was in a traffic jam in town, and somebody knocked the window of his car, and he had to put the window down, and he had the book in his hand. He's like, well, you sign it for me. And then, every two conversations, one is about the book. I read the book, I know what you like, and wow, my God, what happened to you there or here? And it took him aback, the reaction of the fans on Thursday, that love that was coming his direction. And I think the book helps explaining, because his English still is limited, explain how he thinks, and that he goes to bed at 2 a.m. and wakes up at 7 a.m. and there he goes again. So now he appreciates the effort.
Is it partly clearly to do with his legacy? And I know obviously he's incredibly busy, and you've talked about the level of detail that he goes to in analysing the opposition and the lack of sleep he has. But in quiet moments, if there are any, there must be a bit about like what an incredible career he's had, but maybe one that is still curiously underrated in English football in particular. And that's going to finish. That's coming to an end now. But having a book where those details are there for everybody who refers to now for the next 5 or 6 years, that workaholic, that details-oriented, and also the self-awareness that comes across in it, I think that's important to him. Oh, our line just dropped to you, Guillem.
Yeah, I'm back. I tell you in a different way, more than legacy, because he doesn't have time to think about the future or where he's going to be or how people will think of him or a statue. But it's certainly the case that in some of these stories that have been published about him, or some of the analysis that has been done about his career, he felt a little bit hard on by. He doesn't feel undervalued. And that was a surprise, because he told me from the beginning, has insisted on that idea. In the industry, it's very well considered. Very well considered. So he was in the shortlist for Real Madrid. He certainly, he got the PSG job, the Arsenal job ahead of others, at a time when it was more or less decided it was going to be Luis Enrique. and then something happened, and then he was interviewed, and they gave him the job. So in the industry, is very well considered. But he probably felt that what happened at Arsenal needed better explanation. His career took a completely different turn, and this is amazing, I feel, when he went to Villarreal, because he challenged what he knew, and he challenged how he had done the success that he had done, and then changed at the top of his career. Not easy to do. So all that required explanation, but he doesn't really have a lot of time to think about that. Yes, he sees the point of it, and you know, when I only wanted him to stop and look back when I sat down with him. The rest of the time, he just moves on and looks forward. But certainly is a story of a man that has succeeded in many cases against the odds. And as you say, right now, he's got the respect of everyone.
And specifically, he has the respect of the owners at the club who have put the hierarchy and architecture around him for him to succeed. There aren't a million other jobs in world football where that's going to happen. Would that suggest that we're at the midpoint, at the early stages of his career at Aston Villa? What's your best guess?
Midpoint is a good analysis. Just because I'm not saying that he will last 6 years, but certainly it is in a place where he's respected, where he's built around him a whole world that has been financed by the owners. You know, from the moment they gave him a blank page and it's like, do with the club whatever you want, and he's not going to find that anywhere else. So, you know, does he dream of winning the Champions League? Yes. Is it easier to win it with Real Madrid than to win with Aston Villa? For sure. But it will be amazing to do it with Aston Villa. So it's a story that he's enjoying. It's a journey that he's loving. He's seen the transformation in not a long period of what it is, perhaps one of the hardest things in football. If you get attacked in English football, forget it. You're going to be that guy. So, for instance, if you fail, in inverted commas, in England, and then you become the best player in Serie A, Bundesliga, and La Liga, you will be a flop forever in the eyes of the Anglo-Saxon world, of course. So he was the guy that failed at Arsenal. Well, he went to the Europa League, but, you know, it was a final, and it was after Arsene Wenger. So perhaps people will look at it differently. I don't think he was a failure. But in any case, that was the tack, and he's turned that around. And everybody's like, wow, we got here in Pep Guardiola the vanguardist of football, the one who changed football. We've got in Mikel Arteta a great pupil of it. But so is Unai Emery in his own way. And the three of them, Spanish by the way, fighting for the title in the Premier League. So he's got to be put in that sentence with Mikel Arteta and with Pep Guardiola. And that is, to transform that picture is hard, and he's done it.
Well, he's done you a great favour in the surge in form they've had since the release of the book. So how do you follow up a book with Unai Emery? Do you know what your next one is going to be?
I'll have to update it by contract at some point, okay. Maybe with the Europa League win, and then we're thinking of a couple of things. I've published a book in Spanish, but not in English, which will come out in the summer, called Captains. I interviewed men and female captains of Football Club Barcelona, and what a story they've got. Plus, I have to update the Pep Guardiola one with the Manchester City period. So that's 3 projects already in my hands in the next few months, and there are more to come.
And with your gift of timing, perhaps it'll be coming out, the Pep one, just at the end of his time at Man City, it looks like.
No, it will definitely be at the end of his time.
Oh, you think this is the last season? Oh, you're going to wait?
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I will wait until he retires.
Fair
it'll
enough.
be done, it'll be written, but I won't publish it until he retires, until he leaves club football and before he becomes the England manager.
The England manager. So that's what your prediction is?
I think that will happen at some point. I think so.
Okay,
well, he made the FA wait for 2 months, didn't he, for an answer when he was offered the job, and eventually renew his contract with City. So I think it'll come at some point again.
I mean, it would be perfect at the end of this season. Tuchel's going to take them up to the end of the World Cup. Pep stops, takes a break for 3 or 4 months, and away he goes. Is it as soon as that?
I'll tell you another story. Tuchel wins the World Cup, and then what?
Well, then he gets to stay, right?
He gets to stay.
Guillem, great to talk to you. Congratulations on the book. Thanks a million.
Thank you, Ger. Thank you. Cheers.
Guillem Balague there. The book is called Rise of the Villans, Inside Unai Emery's Aston Villa Revolution. Thanks to all of you who found the show today. We realised that it was a bit trickier than normal for you. We were streaming on Twitter, which is the first time that we've done that in many years. We were also streaming on the News Talk YouTube channel as opposed to our own. We will be back on our own channel streaming stuff over the Christmas break, but we're also back here tomorrow for you from 8 a.m. for our Christmas Eve of Eve special. Shin today, 0879 180 180 is the WhatsApp number. That's been working away, so thanks very much to everybody who entered our competition. The correct answer was 9 reindeers. Santa has 9 reindeers. Yeah. Arthur's like, I don't know, don't ask me. That was Colm's question. We'll hold him to account for that tomorrow. Until then, slán.
You're listening to Off the Ball Breakfast,
Ireland's sports breakfast show.
Yeah!